The spells in Dungeons & Dragons are so fun. They are a blast to use, sometimes literally. But some spells in base D&D are just not fun. There are certain spells in D&D 5e that make this caster-martial divide so wide in the first place. And what's wild to me is the 2024 rules for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition do not look like they are addressing a lot of these problem spells. So for the rest of this video, we are going to talk about unpopular opinions. First off, we have spell nerfs. I know, nerf is an ugly word, buffs are better than nerfs, I know. But some of these spells have gone too far. Bringing martials, or any class, up to the level of power that these spells allow would just make the game unplayable and super not fun. There are three groups of offenders here. We have the one-shot winner spells, the zookeeper spells, and the infamous duo. Let's start with the one-shot winner spells. What the f is Hypnotic Pattern? What the f is going on with that spell? It forces every creature in a 30-foot cube to make a wisdom save or be incapacitated. Those that failed are now basically in a 1-minute long coma. And it's not like other spells that let you make a saving throw at the end of each of your turns. No, you're just stuck like that for a full minute.
That is unless your friend can wake you out of your stupor. Oh, Steven got put into a coma too because the area of the spell is huge? Well, crap. Well, at least I can still rely on my prized sentient horse. What? What do you mean the horse is in space?
So if the big bad boss fails, you got a minute to top up on healing, cast your buff spells, get your stretches in, arm the nuclear warheads, all that stuff. Then you and the rest of your party prepare actions to curb stomp the monster that just got a magical lobotomy. There are other terrible spells that just trivialize fights. Banishment, polymorph, force cage, oh my god, force cage. Spells that if you cast once, and if the enemy fails their saving throw, the fight is over. Cast one spell and win, that's why they are one-shot winner spells. You didn't even need the rest of the party. It's so incredibly anticlimactic. Oh, did the fighter go through a whole training arc and then have to quest to find the evil banishing sword of Smingus Smungus? Yeah, well, none of that matters because Harry Potter is in town. A lot of people say to counteract these spells, you shouldn't just have one big enemy in the fight. The boss should have some goons to throw at the player characters as well. And yeah, that does solve the problem, but that is just a band-aid solution. It doesn't address the bigger Harry Potter-shaped problem here. Plenty of turn-based games have boss fights that are composed of a single enemy and work. So is the problem that you made a boss fight with one guy, or that your player has an ability that can instantly win a fight? It's like if you were eating a hot dog in a friend's living room and your friend tells you, hey, you can't eat food in there, the living room is where we keep the bear. He will probably get aggressive with you if you eat food near him. And yeah, eating in a different room might solve the problem, but I think the more important thing to address is, why the f is there a bear in your living room? The bear is the issue. Let's solve the bear issue. Steven, is the bear only going to attack me because I put ketchup on this hot dog? So how do you fix these spells? Ban them. That's the easiest way. There are plenty of other good control spells that don't rely on some anticlimactic crap. You want to buff martials? Then stop letting casters use spells that trivialize fights. WotC did not even nerf Force Cage in the 2024 rules update for 5e. Like, what? Hello? Oh, it is concentration now, so it's a nerf. Yeah, that's not the reason it was a problem. The reason this spell was a problem was it could summon an everything-proof cage around a person with no save, and unless you can teleport, you're just stuck there. I can now say this with full confidence. I am better at designing 5e than Wizards of the Coast. Not because I am great, but because they are so bad at their jobs. Like, I honestly believe most people watching this video could do a better job than they could. Also, if you're going to nerf these problem spells, I did make a video on how to change stun and paralyze, so that could be helpful for you. Anyway, yeah, the hot dog is not the problem. It's the bear. Either get rid of the bear or nerf the bear. And I get it, balancing things in D&D can be difficult. Like, is this magic item I made going to break my game? Well, with this video's sponsor, the Griffon Saddlebag, giving out magic items just got a whole lot easier. Give better treasure without imbalancing your game with the Griffon Saddlebag. The Griffon Saddlebag is the world's largest collection of over 1,500 hand-illustrated, ready-to-use magic items for 5th edition. Every one has been peer-reviewed by thousands of players and game masters from around the globe to ensure they're fit for play. Get the award-winning books in print on Hit Point Press or digitally on D&D Beyond. The Griffon Saddlebag Book 2 is a 416-page, any award-winning book for the best supplement, complete with over 500 100 of the Saddlebag's magic items, 12 new subclasses, 2 playable races, nearly 100 monsters, and 14 campaign-agnostic settings. Use these critically acclaimed fan-favorite books as a resource. They are ready-to-use supplements for whatever world you are already playing in. Look, they even made Kirby into a hat. Give better treasure with the Griffon Saddlebag and keep on adventuring. Speaking as someone who is also a single-person operation, the fact that they made this book and it has so much content in it and that it's so good and the art is so incredible, it is mind-blowing, so please check them out. Thank you to Griffon Saddlebag, and now let's get back to what really matters: hot dogs, bears, and bears getting mad about hot dogs. Speaking of inappropriately placed bears, the Zookeeper spells. The spells that let you summon a bunch of rabid creatures to assault your enemies. Using summoning spells, especially multi-summon spells, increase a caster's damage output dramatically. And WotC, as much as I love to shove their face in the mess they made on the carpet, did realize that spells like Conjure Animals are unbalanced. Conjure Animals is a spell that lets you conjure animals. In the 2024 rules update, Conjure Animals lets you conjure ghosts. Yup, that makes sense. The original spell, the one that let you summon regular animals, caused some issues. It caused a power imbalance between classes and for players to take too long on their turns. It lets you summon 8 poisonous snakes to control. It's not uncommon for your turns to take longer because of that, which sucks for martial characters. Everyone has 1 turn, now the druid has got 9. I came here to play D&D, not to watch you play fucking Pikmin. And I understand that some people could use this spell and not take up a bunch of time, but it was a problem with enough people that I do think it was a wise thing for WotC to address. That's why you see the 2024 D&D rules have spells that only summon 1 creature at a time, and I agree with that change. What I will say about summon spells is this: if you are using them, I recommend using ones that only summon 1 creature. Another option that was suggested to me by Satanalist Pumpkin is that you summon an amount of creatures for every player at the table, so each player can control 1 creature. I really love this idea. Picking creatures based on their CR might be a bit funky depending on how many players you have, so it might take some workshopping, but it fixes the problem of a single player taking turns that are too long by spreading out the turn load, and it lets every player contribute by controlling a little guy. That's just spreading the fun around in a team-based game, which I will always endorse. Yes, technically it doesn't solve the damage issue, it's still damage being done by the caster, but the player with the fighter is still controlling a giant bee, rolling attacks, rolling damage rolls, getting to play the game more. Getting to command your own personal Barry B. Benson is fun, and that's what the game is all about. Fun. But you know what's not fun for the marshals? Our last magical spell offenders, the infamous duo. Before we get to our last 2 spells, if you are enjoying the video so far, consider liking and subscribing and leave a comment. I respond to those. And if you want to go even further, consider joining the Patreon, where you can get the buffs I show in these videos early and use them in your games. I got a buff version of Ranger and some homebrew Ranger spells that are actually fun to play. I think it's a lot better than the 2024 Ranger in my opinion. So if you do end up becoming a patron or subscribing or leaving a like or a comment, just know all that stuff helps me pay rent, so thank you. Now let's get back to the infamous duo. The 2 spells that unapologetically take the role of tank from the marshals and give them to the casters. The spells that nullify the idea of a squishy caster. The spells I am talking about are Shield and Mage Armor. These are level 1 spells that are frankly a bit too strong for their own good. Why? Well, let's start with the lesser of the 2, Mage Armor. It gives a target an armor class equal to 13 plus their dexterity modifier. So a wizard who only really needs good intelligence can easily get +3 dexterity during character creation. So this spell would give that wizard 16 AC, which is as good as chainmail armor, the best heavy armor you can get at level 1, and this spell lasts 8 hours, so effectively an entire adventuring day. So the wizard is on the same AC level as the monk, the barbarian, and some fighters. Weird that the squishy caster has that, but okay. Alright, but the wizard has less health, so they're not as good at taking attacks, right? Well, that's where this spell comes in. The Shield spell. As a reaction to being attacked, you can cast this spell to give you +5 AC, possibly causing the attack to miss. Now, as a level 1 spell, that's fine. What isn't fine is the +5 AC lasts until the beginning of your next turn. So if you have Mage Armor and this spell, you can get 21 AC at level 1. You can cast this so damn often because it's a 1st level spell. The higher you level up, the way cheaper this is gonna get. And you don't even need to do that all that often because you can cast your spells from a much safer distance. And once you hit like, what, level 3 or 5, you can just spam the Shield spell so often. Oh, and since most people only do like 1 combat in an adventuring day, this AC is effectively always set to 21. Also, why does this increased AC stay for the whole round? Why is this the exception for tanking abilities? Why is a wizard spell letting you tank for a whole round while so many martial abilities only last for one attack? Ancestral Guardian Spirit Shield only works for one instance of damage. The Interception Fighting Style only works for a single attack. The Beast Barbarian's Tail only raises your AC for one attack, I think. The Psy Warrior Fighter's Protective Field only works for one attack. The list goes on. Why are the guys who are supposed to be the tanky, beefy protectors getting outshined by the old man dressed in his pajamas? Okay, quick buff to all these types of features. If you have any of those features or ones like them, it lasts until the beginning of your next turn, or at least until the end of the current creature's turn. Okay, that buff is a little off the cuff. I haven't given it much thought, but whatever. I just don't want to live in a world where I'm less bulletproof than Grandpa, okay? So the Mage Armor and Shield spells have to be toned down. Even if you do 6 to 8 encounters in an adventuring day, the shield spell is still so much. The wizard should not be out-tanking the guy whose armor is made from an actual tank, especially when they don't even need to tank. You can cast so many of your spells from so far away. You can be a glass cannon, the tank, or the crowd controller. You do not get to be all three. So, how do we readjust these spells? With Mage Armor, my suggestion is to still let it last for 8 hours, but instead it gives +1 AC to any creature not wearing armor. So a caster could benefit from this, but it would make a lot more sense to give this to your unarmored teammates. So it gives more AC to the Barbarian, the Monk, the Ranger's Pet, any unarmored creature. So while you can't tank as well anymore, you can help some classes tank better. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the buff spells should be buffed so they can better help the marshals. A lot of them are just really uncharitable and not worth using. Heaven forbid we let the marshals do any decent damage. And for the shield spell, oh, the shield spell. I have 4 suggestions that you can use. You can use however many of these you want or in whatever combination you see fit. 1, it only gives +2 AC. 2, the spell requires concentration. 3, the spell can only block a single attack. And 4, if the player uses the shield spell and any attack still hit, the magical shield shatters, making the attack that landed into a critical hit and deals the caster's level and force damage. That last one might be a bit extreme, but use it if you want. Personally, I think the third option is the best here. Listen, Mr. Wizard, you are not supposed to be the tank. You are the squishy caster who sits in the back. So sit in the back, cast your fireballs, or I may just start singing Smash Mouth at you. I realize these changes might negatively impact Blade Singer Wizards or Hexblade Warlocks. They are casters that go into melee, but if I have to sacrifice these two for the betterment of many others, then I will gladly do so. I've already slaughtered so many people and horses today. What's 2 more? No, but for real, I recognize how this negatively affects them, and I plan on addressing that when I make videos for those subclasses. Eventually. And that's everything I got for how to buff marshals. There are other spells I missed, but you know what? I'm gonna give myself a pass. This video was originally part of a bigger video. It was originally 120 minutes long. Then I decided to split it up into this How You Should Buff Marshal series. And that super long video took like 6 months to make. Like, I started making it before the 2024 rule set for D&D came out. That's how long this video took to make. So you know what? I think I'm okay if I miss a few spells. I'm gonna give myself that pass. If you are considering using any of these things in your game, consider subscribing or leaving a like. Now, I believe it's time. Monk, with all these tools at your disposal, do you think you can defeat Dumbledore now? Okay, good luck, buddy.
Duel 1. Let's rock! Rest in peace, pal.
See, I told you, they always land on their feet. Shoutouts to the patrons: Panko6, Beefmaster, Nolin46, Luna Bruner, Manifestring, Sparkdrake, Absentia Lucci, Alex Score, Anymouse, Sens, Christopher Cook, Edboy, Foosro Dog, Hayden Tistammer, James Spear, Mr. Nobody13, Nema Maori, Owen Hansen, Pat Hughes, PK Hemi, Poggers Extreme, Seth Mjaw, Volum, Wet Toaster, Zakaloo, Xander3, and Zap4. Thank you guys so much, you are all the best.